Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt this episode intro to bring you breaking news. Rad Dupre, the regular intro guy, will not be doing this intro due to a severe case of the baby blues. That was his joke, not mine. I apologize. That makes baby number 3 for the Dupres. Sorry to all you, we must depopulate the world to save the world weirdos. Deal with it. Bubba's at it again, folks, trying to connect with today's youth. Somebody please tell this guy he's not cool enough to pull that off anymore. Today's guest, Kaden Behrens, is a 20-year-old double major student athlete at Wartburg College, a school that actually wanted him to play football there. Sorry, Bubba, no scholarship for you. Other than going to the same church, I'm not sure why he thinks they have anything in common. This kid even dates a foreign exchange student from Spain. In your dreams, Bubba. They both did rock the number 40 jersey during their high school football days, but we all know Bubba was more built for show. Kaden could actually go. But if there's one thing that puts them on the same level, it's the damage they can do to a Pizza Ranch buffet. Here's your host, Bubba Seaman.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back for another episode. Do I have a special guest in the studio today? Well, I say studio, but it's my basement. You guys all know that. But before we get to this special guest, let me ask you a question. What do you think about the youth of America today? How do they make you feel? Do they make you feel nervous? Do they make you feel scared? Are you really freaking out? Do you think we're doomed because you have no faith in the upcoming generation? I hope not. But I do hear that sometimes. I hear people say, oh, we're hopeless. Man, I'll tell you what, if your heart's beating and there's air in your lungs, you're never hopeless. You still got a chance. But today's guest gives us hope for another reason. He's one of the best and brightest of America's youth today. Unless he's got me completely fooled. Because I've watched this kid grow up from this high energy, just rambunctious toddler kid to an overachieving, pretty driven, hardworking college student athlete. But maybe the most impressive trait about him of all is that he was the kind of kid that in high school, if his parents were out of town, he would get himself and his sister to church on Sunday. Now that should give us hope for the future, folks. Kaden Behrens, what is up, man?
Not much, Bubba. I'm glad to be here.
All right. Are you nervous?
A little bit, to be honest. It was my first time podcasting.
You are the youngest guy on here so far. We're like, 10, 11 episodes in. Man, yeah, you're by far the youngest. So just give us a glimpse. I mean, obviously I know you pretty well, but give us just a glimpse of what, a little bit about you and your life right now.
Yeah, sure. So right now I'm 20 years old. I'm attending college at Wartburg. In my second year, sophomore. I'm double majoring in business administration and accounting.
Show off. Double major.
Yeah, and also part of the football team. We've had 2 great seasons back-to-back since I've been there, so it's been really fun to be a part of that. Let's see here. I grew up in Dunkerton, graduated in 2020. I was really big into sports. That's kind of been like my whole life. Like, kind of grew up in the church, too. Been super involved in that. Did pretty good at school too. I really enjoyed high school and junior high and all that stuff. Pretty interested. I do a little bit of outdoor stuff. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily like a redneck by any means or anything like that, but I dabble in that kind of stuff and just like hanging out with my friends and having a good time.
Okay. Sounds like you're typical kid, except I haven't heard about any DUIs or possession tickets or anything like that. So usually when people say they enjoyed high school a lot, usually some of that trouble kind of follows, at least in my day it did. But I didn't hear a whole lot about you getting in trouble. So let's just kind of break that up a little bit. Let's go back to like, your younger years then. You said you grew up in Dunkerton and stuff like that. So tell me a little bit about, when you were little. You got any memories or anything you can tell about your childhood?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I've always like lived in Dunkerton. We used to live outside in the country, but we ended up moving into town here, and I'm still living in the same house.
Yep.
Just so that we'd be in town for preschool. I moved there right before I like went into school, basically. The earliest memory I think I can remember is I think I was maybe like 2 years old, and for some reason like this has been like so ingrained in my brain. It's like the first thing I remember like in my entire life is like when my sister was born. Like the weirdest thing ever. Like I was like maybe 2, like I don't even know, like barely walking. And I just remember like my grandparents come into the door, and like I stayed with them, and then I remember like going and seeing her after that. And for some reason like that's like the earliest thing I can imagine my entire life, and it's pretty much a blur until like I don't know, like 3rd grade when I randomly like regained consciousness again or something. But yeah, so we moved into town there. I've actually gone to preschool, elementary, junior high, and high school all in the same building.
Right. Yeah.
So that's been pretty nice. Been used to just like really small town atmosphere, which going to Wartburg is pretty nice because that was kind of like an easy transition.
Yeah, it's not too far from home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, small class size, everything like that. Yeah, pretty much all the kids I've grown up with in school, like I know like them, their parents, like their grandparents, like everything like that. So
that's the benefit of growing up in a small town, man. I moved up here when I was 13, and we came from a big city. And yeah, that was like our junior high school was 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and it was the size of Dunkerton, which is K through 12. But there is a tremendous benefit of growing up in a small town. People say, oh, everybody knows everybody's business. Yeah, but coming from a kid's perspective, it's very stable. You make friends. Unless they move away, usually you stay friends. You kind of, other families are invested in you. Like you're probably close with some of your friends' parents, and they look at you a certain way, and you wouldn't get that in the big city. You wouldn't. So small town life is, it's definitely got its benefits. So you reap some of those benefits for sure.
Yeah, certainly. Like the best way to describe it is kind of just growing up in a bubble, like super safe. Like it's just like I didn't have to deal with like having like move schools or like move houses. I'd say my whole life has been pretty like stable and like pretty consistent.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I'd say I've had a pretty easy life so far, which I'm really appreciative of like my parents and stuff for giving me a good like childhood and everything.
Sure. Yeah, and you can really thank me and Sarah's lack of wanting to excel and be high income earners for you guys moving to Dunkerton, because I think we actually bid on your house that you moved into. I think the Lichties owned it.
Yeah.
Before you guys, we put an offer in on that house, and they didn't laugh at us, but they're like, no, we can't. And somebody actually told us, I bet if you offer them this much, they'll take it. And we're like, well, that's like the max we can afford. So we offered them our max right away, and they're like, no. And I was like, well, whoever moves there, they're going to be rich, I guess. And then you guys moved
No way.
in. Yeah. And that's okay. It all worked out. We like Fairbank. I got my Dunkerton stories, and I got my Fairbank life now, I guess. But so, let's go past elementary. Let's talk about, or no, hang on. I got a note here in elementary. So yeah, when you guys moved to town, or whatever, I can remember, like I said, you were pretty rambunctious. Jalen was always, she was kind of quiet when she was young and stuff like that. But I mean, you guys were, one of the original few, like your parents were one of the few young adult couples that were there, and we were all raising kids at the same time. Peterson's, Ryan was on the first episode. Ryan and Mary were one. Me and Sarah were one. Kurt and Julie were one. And then Reardon's came. I'm trying to think. Those were the big ones, right? And we were all raising kids at the same time. Man, those were the good days. But I remember being involved in like Christmas programs and Easter programs, and you were little, and it was always nice to have kids. I mean, we made our kids be involved and stuff, but sometimes you took on parts that like still live on today. I've got a collection over there underneath that TV of like old home videos and stuff, and some of those are church programs, and you were I can't remember this one, but it was always just King Harry Head. You kept saying King Harry Head. I mean, I can't remember how little you were, but it was pretty funny. It's always good to see kids involved in church like that. But let's move on past that stuff. Let's talk about like junior high, high school, and I definitely got a couple notes in here, but I'm going to let you see. I'm going to see if you cover these bases, and if you don't, I'll bring them up at the end. What was junior high, high school like for you?
I can definitely say junior high is probably the most I've ever enjoyed school, like my entire life. It was kind of like a happy medium between like being like not serious enough that you could kind of like mess around and stuff, but like the sports were a little bit like a step up, a little bit more serious with that. Man, junior high sports, that was like prime days. I just remember like that's back when like all your friends like go out. Like I know like when we got to high school, like a lot of my buddies like dropped out of sports and stuff like that, but like we used to have like pretty decent sized teams, especially like football. Like when I was in high school, we never really had that many kids on the football team, but it was nice to be able to play that with like a lot of my buddies and stuff. Just super fun. I remember just like all the memories we made like in study hall and stuff during junior high, playing like PUBG Mobile, which is like it's like a video game we played on our phones, and we just went like super
Is that the
crazy
one
for
where you
that.
like wait, you can't do that in study. I'm thinking of the one where you like go places and you try and catch these Pokemon eggs or something. Is that game?
That's Pokemon Go.
Okay, that's not that.
Yeah, no. Junior high sports, I'd say that's kind of really where I started like taking off in sports too. That's when they kind of became a lot more fun. I'd say like things kind of like progressed a lot faster for me.
Did you know like by the time you got into junior high, or did you figure it out in junior high that like you could excel in athletics, football, basketball, baseball, stuff like that? Or did you know going in, I'm a little higher level than most other kids?
I'd say in football, definitely like 3rd and 4th grade and like 5th and 6th grade, I was pretty good at that. But like things like basketball, one thing I had never done before junior high was track.
Okay.
So I had our basketball coach for junior high. He was this guy like still in college, I think. Coach Ridgway. He was like 21 years old, like super young. Like we were just like best friends with him. He was like one of the most fun coaches I've ever had. Like we loved him, and he was also coaching track at the school. So he convinced me to do it in junior high. Because like at first I was like, why would I want to do a sport like just running? That sounds like horrible. Yeah. And I ended up being like pretty good at it. And honestly, for a while, it was probably my best sport. My 8th grade year, I broke 3 conference junior high records.
Okay.
For 100, 200, and high jump.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet. And like football too, like it was to the point where it wasn't like competitive enough. So if you were just like a kind of like a raw athlete, you could kind of just do whatever you wanted.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it was our last game of the year. We played Bosco, and I want to say I had like 8 touchdowns or something like that. Like it was just one after the other. It was great.
But now junior high, you guys had to play 8-man in junior high to be ready to play it in high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like okay.
Yeah, I think we played 11-man like maybe like our like 3rd grade year or something like that, and then we switched. That's when Dunkerton switched to 8-man.
There's no point. Yeah, that's right. There's no point in playing any more 11-man in your youth sports because you're not going to be playing it in high school.
Yeah, I don't even remember like 11-man football back in 3rd grade. Like I just barely have any like memories of it. Funny enough, my first like tackle football game I ever played was in Wartburg against Nashua Plainfield, I think it was. That was our first game ever. It was in Wartburg, and now I play
that's
football.
Cool how they do special things like that. It gets kids excited. That's cool. Mm-hmm. Well, what about I got a couple things in here. It is every high school boy's dream to date a foreign exchange student. So, how you got to clue me in on that. Tell me a little bit about her. Yeah,
so it was kind of like the weirdest thing ever. Like I didn't date through junior high. I never had a girlfriend in high school. It just it really wasn't something I was super like focused on, really. Like I just didn't it's not something I put like a lot of like effort into or anything like that. Like obviously like I had like crushes and stuff like that, but
you weren't chasing the girls intentionally.
No, not really. And I kind of didn't really see a point of doing it until I could like even drive, because then like what am I gonna do? Like have my parents like drop me off at like some girl's house or something?
So my wife just walks downstairs. She takes pictures for the YouTube slideshow, and I guarantee you we're both thinking the same thing. I supposedly, when I was that age, I said, hey, you want to go on a date? My mom can take us. So obviously I wasn't worried about that, but you apparently were much cooler than me. So
yeah, I don't know. Like I don't even know. Like I didn't even like. Yeah, no, it's just not something I ever took like very seriously or anything like that. My parents would like ask, like, "Oh, do you have a crush on?" and stuff like that. And I just remembered I was always kind of weird with it. I never like really wanted to tell them. Like it was just weird for me.
I hear you.
Yeah,
I hear you, dude. I'm not a believer in casual dating. I don't. I mean, I just don't. I don't get it. What's the point of having a boyfriend or girlfriend? Just to have it, just so kids are tempted to do more physical stuff than you really shouldn't do. We've kind of been honest with our kids from day one. Like everything you do physically with somebody outside of marriage, you bring those images into your marriage one day. I know it's hard to think right now as a kid what it's going to be like when you're married, but somebody explained to me biblically why high schoolers should definitely have boyfriends and girlfriends. They shouldn't. Dating should be intentional. That's just, if you want to do things the right way and set yourself up for a nice, wholesome relationship with the intention of marriage, then get into that relationship. If that's not what it is, then what's your end goal? Just to have somebody that maybe you're tempted to do things with and just set yourself up for pain and hard. I don't buy it. I don't think it's biblical. So nothing wrong with not being interested in the girls at an early age. That's fine.
Mm-hmm. Especially like with church too, like they're always like pretty big. Like I heard a lot of stuff like, yeah, like not doing stuff before you're married and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so like I just never, like once I was old enough to like understand like that kind of stuff, I was like kind of old enough to understand that like casual dating really like was pretty pointless to me. And it's just, I don't know, it's not something I pursued ever. But so anyways, getting on to how I met my current girlfriend now. It was actually at a youth group. She was a foreign exchange student. It was my junior year high school. She's also the same age, junior year.
Okay.
It was her first year doing a foreign exchange. She's from Spain, and she was going to Independence. And so I started going to the youth group, JBF, Jessup Bible Fellowship in Jessup there the year before. And so I was coming back to do it the second year, and she had got connected to that because there's some Indy kids and some Jessup kids that go as well.
Okay.
And she had got connected through one of her friends, another one of the foreign exchange students, whose I think host family was involved in the church or something like that somehow. So she got invited along like through all them, and I ended up meeting her there. And I just remember I didn't even like notice like she was there really like I'm like there was some like foreign girls there, which that was kind of new to me because like I mean small town Duncan and like that's not something like we ever got.
Yeah, that's out of the norm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there was another girl from Spain, and there was one from there was 3 from Spain actually, and 1 from Mexico. And I remember talking to a couple of them like whatever, like casually, nothing like I was trying to like hit on them or anything like that. And like so some of them were a little bit more outgoing, but my girlfriend kind of was like in the back. I don't know, like almost like hiding from me. I don't know. Like I honestly didn't even really notice like she was there. Just kind of like kind of hid back almost. Okay. And so I added a couple of the foreign exchange girls on Snapchat and stuff. And like later in the night, like going home, my girlfriend adds me, and like I start talking to her, and she sends me a snap, and then I'm like, oh, I kind of recognize her. Like I remember seeing her there, but like she would like. Was like too scared to come up and talk to me. I guess.
Sure, yeah.
And so we get to talking and stuff, and she's like, what do you think of me or something like that? I'm like, I have no idea. Like, what are you talking about? Like, and she basically was like I thought I was cute or whatever. So
wow, she's straightforward.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which was kind of crazy to me because that's not like something I was super used to. Like girls just coming up and like hitting on me like that. So. That's like definitely one thing I noticed. Like although she was like shy, she was also kind of like pretty like straightforward, like right to it right away. So I got talking to her, and then like things like progressed a little. And I just remember like the first week we started talking. Like she was like, you're the kind of guy like I can imagine myself marrying. And I was like, whoa, brakes, like pause, put the brakes on that. Like what?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, she's like, I've never really like told this to anyone before, like. Felt this way before, but like you're like basically said I was like a guy that
husband material.
Yeah, husband material.
Nora the visionary here.
Yeah, I
Wow.
honestly I give all the credit to her for sealing that. Like, I probably wouldn't have had the gut. I don't know, maybe not the guts, but like, I don't know if I would have like saw her out necessarily, but like she just went and got that, and like something about that to me just like, I don't know, it was different. It was different from any experience I've had with the girl before, and she definitely like set herself apart by that. And you know, to all the ladies out there, you know, if you want something like that, go get it. Like, you know.
Yeah, you got. So here's the deal. Like, you said she was kind of shy or hiding in the. She wasn't like she didn't come right after you. You said she was kind of like hiding in the background during the thing. Mm-hmm. But once you got on Snapchat together, then she was straightforward and kind of didn't. So that's hard for me to process because obviously my generation, we grew up without all that stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, you had to make a move. You had to ask them to dance at a dance, or, you know, the farthest away you could get was passing notes or get a friend to tell them something for you. And you know, and then the older you get, the more like it had to be in person kind of thing. Your guys' day and age, that's cool. She couldn't like physically in person, you know, be that aggressive, but she knew what she liked, and with the digital connection, she could. But yeah, that's a tough spot, man, because yeah, just the whole digital world and dating. I am so glad I'm married and settled down, and I don't have to worry about it, because I would struggle. I would struggle because I couldn't be like her. I couldn't just go after somebody like that. So Nora, props to you. Good job, girl.
Yeah, she did good with that. I can confidently say, like, I'm 1 for 1 right now. Like, we've been dating 3 years. Like, I don't know, like, yeah, I'm glad like I waited. Like, I didn't like casually date or something like that. Like, I'm glad I like waited until like I found someone I really like liked. Yeah. Because like I didn't have to waste my time going through like breakups and all that dumb stuff.
Dude,
like while I was young.
It's bad. It's bad. And you chose the right one. You said there's 3 other girls from Spain there.
Yeah.
And one from Mexico. What if you chose the wrong one?
I'll definitely say she was the most attractive. So I'm glad that she liked me.
Oh man. Yeah. Then that girl from Mexico shows up in Dunkerton the next week or whatever with like, you know, some tacos and authentic Mexican food and just wins your heart over.
Oh,
no,
man.
That would have been bad. That would have been bad.
Apparently one of the other Spanish girls liked me, and like she thought like I liked her too because I had her on Snapchat, and my girlfriend was like, I hate to break it to you.
Back off.
We're basically married.
Yeah, you didn't see that part of who was running the Jessup youth group then? Do you remember?
Ryan Nesbitt and Kay. Oh gosh, and I have a hard time pronouncing her last name. It's like Alfrink.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Nesbitt's had probably just moved to town because they haven't been here. They went from Dunkerton to Des Moines and then now back to Jessup. Mm-hmm. So that had to have been not too long after they got up there, within a year or two. But Ryan Nesbitt, what kind of youth group are you? He's coming on in the very near future. What kind of youth group are you running? Match.com at Jessup Youth Group, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
You know, picking girls up at church is so underrated. I'll tell you, like it's one of the best spots.
Dude, I tell you, Kent Summerlot, another guy that goes to church with me and Kaden, he said that to me once, and it was kind of weird at the time, but it's so true. You know, I don't know how many years ago it was. Back when like Bridget, Hannah, somebody else was up there. I can't remember. I think maybe Jade was up there, and they were singing or doing music or something, and Kent goes, where are all the boys? Where are all the boys? Like, do they not understand? You've got these like gorgeous women in church. Yep. Like, what is wrong with the boys today? How come they're not in here? Because I guess that's what guys used to do, is they would follow the girls to the church just to try and win them over or whatever. But yeah, you want a good woman, start going to church. Mm-hmm. I don't know, that's our vote, sure. I guess. All right. So let's talk sports a little bit in high school. Now, we're kind of connected. I think I joked with Nora a little bit about this when you first introduced me to her, because you brought her to church pretty much any time she was here. She comes to church with us. I think I said something stupid, just trying to be funny. Like, yeah, he says, this is Bubba. And I'm like, yep, Kaden looks up to me. He wore number 40 in high school because I wore it, kind of thing, even though I only wore it 1 year or whatever. But that's a whole nother story. But yeah, how much like when you start talking records and things in junior high, track and all this stuff, I mean, you got any records on the wall for high school for that kind of stuff?
Yeah, for football, I have a pretty decent amount actually. A lot of them like career, like rushing. Like I think I have some all-purpose ones.
Okay.
I think for season, I have a couple season and career ones. I think I have the game one too, game touchdowns.
Okay.
A lot of return stuff. I think in my career I had like 6 kickoff return touchdowns or something like that.
Wow.
I think I had the most in a season, most like yards for that too, or something like.
Yeah.
A lot of career like rushing, all-purpose, and like return yards.
So they have separate, obviously, right? 8-man records are all its own thing, and all the previous 11-man stuff kind of stayed put where it was at. Yeah, that's cool. 8-man's fun. The people who still knock 8-man, it's only 3 less guys, and it's like you think, oh, it's that many less linemen. It's not the same. No, there's still kind of a scruffle at the line of scrimmage, and then it's just a faster, more arena type football game. It's you don't notice that much when you actually watch it. The only thing you notice is the scores are a little higher. The games, there's more bigger plays, maybe. That's it. Other than that, you'd think it was still 11-man football. It's really fun to watch. I watched quite a few games. I'd always try and come back at least to one game while you were in high school and watch that. I'd always ask your dad and be like, hey, give me one game. What's the game Dunkerton looks like they're going to pound somebody or something? I'll try and come to that one. But yeah, the whole records on the wall thing, I don't think I've told this story before, but Sarah's brother, my brother-in-law, Lance, he was really good. Man, when he was in I want to say 7th grade, he benched the second most in the entire high school because they owned a gym. His dad would make him go down and work out. He was just a freak. And he ended up having one game where the coach was intentional. He's like, I'm going to get you a record. And he said it was because, their mom died in high school, and he was like, man, that's the worst. I'm going to give this kid something to hang his hat on and all this. And so he just fed him the ball this entire game. And he had the most carries, the most rushing yards, and he caught one pass behind the line of scrimmage for like -4 yards. Oh. So he had whatever it was, 270 some rushing yards, but 268 all-purpose yards. And so he had those 3 records. And I go up to school one day, it was after we had graduated, and I wanted to write down the exact numbers, and I was going to get them on a football for him and give it to him for Christmas or something like that. And Sam Hopley saw me up there. He was a senior that year, I think, and he saw me writing down the number, and he's looking at that number, and he goes, I think my dad got more rushing yards than that in a game. And I was like, I don't know, dude, that's a lot. 270-some yards, that's a lot. And sure enough, he brings in a newspaper clipping, and that's how you would do it back then. If you had newspaper proof that you had a record, you could bump somebody off the list, and he did. He bumped him off the rushing list. Man. So now Lance has most carries and most all-purpose yards, but he does not have the most rushing yards. But man, 8-man, I wish we could have played it, but we didn't. So you got any more junior high school stories, or else I'll end up taking over and start talking all kinds of old stuff.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably about it. I don't really have any crazy stories or anything like that. I say I've lived a pretty safe, I don't know. I don't get in trouble very much, so I don't have any crazy dumb stories or anything like that to share.
No, yeah, you didn't get in trouble maybe that I didn't hear about, but you guys did some stuff. Who'd you run around with?
My main friend group was Jaden Reed, Jaden Downs, Preston Gillespie, Casey Gardner, Chase Reeves, guys like that. Definitely were. And
Jaden Reed is at Wartburg with you right now too, right?
Yeah, we're actually roommates.
So I told a story. Yeah, okay, yeah, you guys are roommates. I told a story about his dad. We played together, and I even snapped him. I said, hey, just so you know, Josh, you're going to, I tell, on this upcoming episode, I tell a little high school football story, one of his glory day moments, thinking he'd be like, oh, cool, yeah, let me check it out. How do I find your podcast? And he just goes, thanks for the heads up. That's it. And I was like, yeah, Josh he's not much into reliving stuff or, he doesn't need the accolades or anything, but it's a pretty cool story if anybody goes back to listen to it. So I hope he does. Let's see. No, there's one thing you guys did, and I've brought it up a few different times. Tell me a little bit about the Pizza Ranch gang. that was short-lived or if that was a long-term thing. Just tell me what that is.
Yeah, that was was that summer of my going into senior year, I think? Yeah, it was something like that. We just started going to Pizza Ranch all the time, and it got like weird, like we started like making rules and stuff. It got like very like rule oriented and stuff at the end, but it was great. Like, so we had like our little like Bible, like 10 Commandments of the Pizza Ranch gang, and it was those same Ollie Fettkeller. That's another one I forgot to mention. He was big in that too. Yeah, definitely one of my closer friends. So yeah, how that worked is one of the rules is we had to take Jaden Down's grandma's Ford Explorer there.
Okay.
And we had to roll the windows down and play Fortunate Son on like max volume, pulling in the parking lot.
Is that a popular song? I never heard of it.
Fortunate Son, CCR.
Oh, Creed.
Yeah.
Okay, old song. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That was like our intro to the place.
Oh man.
Yeah, and gosh, some of the rules are actually getting fuzzy. I remember second plate has to be a salad every time, no matter what.
Second plate has to be a salad. You don't start with a salad.
No. First plate's first plate's free for all. Second plate got to be a salad. I want to say you had to eat like a minimum of like 3 or 4 plates. If you saw the cookie pizza up there, you had to bring the whole thing back for the table. You had to get like the whole thing.
Oh,
bring it
wow.
back for everyone. Pray before we eat. I think Oliver Fettkeller was our ordained minister.
He would say grace before you guys eat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Leaving, we had to grab like a whole handful of mints, each one of us. Those ended up just get thrown around the car and scattered around. Then Jay's grandma would get mad at him because we won't clean them up.
Oh man, high school's the best.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It was good times.
Good memories, man. So then, colleges come knocking. I mean, what, you probably turned down University of Iowa, Alabama.
Not quite.
No? Oh,
no,
man.
No, Nick Saban was not on my contact list.
Tell me a little bit about college, how that all went. You know, I would have loved to have gotten a letter from a college or anything, but how'd you settle on Wartburg and make the decision to play college sports?
Yeah, so funny enough, actually, all the first, like my junior year and like going into senior year, all the college I looked at were for track. I was actually going to run track in high school. So I ended up going to Wartburg was the first one I went to, I believe. And then I also went to Simpson, UD, Co. And then I think those were the only 4 that I ended up visiting. And then I was dead set on going for track. I had done I did like over summer a lot of the track clinics they put on at Wartburg there, so like coaches kind of knew me and stuff like that. The big thing about Wartburg is like when you're going there, like they want you to come back like as many times as possible, because every time you revisit for like special days and stuff, they give you more like scholarships and stuff.
Okay.
So you come back for like a scholarship day, and it's like, okay, you come back on this day and tour, we'll give you $1,000 off every year, so it's $4,000. Couple things like that. They're actually really good with like their financial aid, like giving you the opportunity to like get more by like just visiting and stuff. And so I mean it's effective because you end up going back like a lot of times. I probably visited Wartburg probably close to like 8-9 times. Like I was there all the time for track and then later for football. And I liked Wartburg a lot. I like UD too, just because like that campus is beautiful. Dubuque's like a really cool town too.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty sweet to live there. And I just decided on football. Jaden Reed, he was going there for football too. Him and Jake Kennedy, who was already there, he graduated a year before me. And he was playing football there from Dunkerton.
Okay.
So I had 2 Dunkerton guys, and they just ended up convincing me to do football. And I already kind of had decided on Wartburg, and I thought I was going to do track there. I mean, they're a great track program. I remember I was part of like the top like 15 like recruits for track.
Okay.
They have like they choose like I think it's 15 girls and 15 guys, or 10 or 15, something like that like they like the most. And like I was in that, like I was like I guess like from what they told me, like, I was pretty like highly recruited like track guy. Because in high school I was pretty decent. I went to state track for 12 events over 3 years. Our sophomore season got canceled, so I didn't do that. And then my Senior season, I only made it for 2 events, but like before that, up to that point, junior and freshman year, I'd made it most amount of events you can make it for. He
Cool.
really liked that. I was like from a small school and stuff. Like we didn't even have like a turf. A track.
Yeah.
We were running like the hallways and like stuff like
Yep.
that. And so, they're pretty excited about that. And I just decided last minute that I wanted to do football. I mean, they kind of convinced me. And
You
honestly,
couldn't do both? Like that wasn't an option?
I didn't want to.
Okay.
I didn't want to commit to 2 sports. I wanted to have a little bit of free time.
Sure.
Yeah, and so it was really, really a last-minute decision, but I'm honestly really glad that I did. Nothing against, like, track there, like the coaches
Right.
or anything like that. It's a great program. One of the best in the country, actually, for D3. But, yeah, I just changed my mind last minute. I haven't really looked back, and I'm glad I did. Another thing about Wartburg, too, is it was really, like, kind of homey and, like, comfortable there for me. That's a nice thing about, like, the small schools, because I graduated with, like, 32 people. All my classes, I think my biggest class has been like maybe like 40 or something like that.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I know all my professors like pretty well. I mean, like my accounting professor, if I see him in the hall, he'll give me like a fist bump, stuff like that. Like I'll like chat with them after class and stuff. It's a lot more personalized experience. I feel like I learn a lot better that way too, instead of being just like a kind of statistic or like a dot in a giant crowd of people.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. What was it like? It was obviously easier, like you said. It's a little bit smaller of a school, but what's it like living away from home on campus? Now you have that total freedom for the most part. Like your actions are totally up to you.
Mm-hmm.
Mom and dad are, 40 minutes away, whatever it is, half hour away. How'd you handle that? How'd you adjust to living away from home?
Yeah, I'd say like it wasn't really even that huge of adjustment. I think by the time like I was, like ready to leave high school and stuff, I feel like I was mature enough that I wasn't really like, I've never really like gotten into trouble or like had to worry about like, being like not knowing what to do with myself if I don't have any kind of authority or anything like that. I feel like I've had a pretty stable life.
Right,
so
but you hear these stories of kids, they're just fine at home, and then the second they go to college, they cut loose, they what I mean? And there's 100 million reasons why people say kids do that. They say, oh no, it's the parents' fault, or no, they shielded the kids, and now that's a whole nother episode. But they just say, kids get off to college and they could have been this perfectly well behaved kid, and then they get to college and they're off partying and getting in trouble and getting knocked up, or they're coming home brainwashed. They're saying all kinds of stuff that goes against the foundation, the worldview they had growing up, and things like that. And it's just like, that's something I wanted to definitely ask you about. What was it like when you first, and you realize you're on your own? You got friends, you got some people from home, and you're not too far from home, but you're on your own, and what that was like, because I didn't experience that at all.
Yeah, I would say like they say like strict parents create like sneaky kids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say like I was like sheltered to the point where like I was like that. Like I feel like my parents did a pretty good job raising me.
Sure.
So I mean, no, it really wasn't like anything like crazy or anything to me. I have like a really good group of friends, like pretty good morals and stuff. And, things like that. So they don't really get me into trouble or anything like that either. I'd say just in general, like it's a pretty good culture there at Wartburg. It is like a Lutheran school or whatever, but I mean, I've never, I wouldn't say I've had any classes that are like super like against like my morals and values, or like super like anti like God and stuff like that. So you definitely get that at bigger schools, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's just different. Like I'd say everyone there, or at least all the people I hang out with, are fairly like conservative, like Christian, like good values.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So it's pretty safe. Like, it's not something I've really had a problem with or had to worry about at all.
Okay. That's kind of what I was going to ask you about, being a Christian in college, how that's working for you. Because I know Pastor Dan, was he there? I mean, you probably don't remember. You were too little. But I bet you he was there when you guys first started coming.
Yeah, I remember him.
Okay. I remember he used to use Wartburg as an example back then, how they would have this event on campus, and it was meant to be like a community event or whatever, but it was all religions, meet together, and we're going to have this big event because all roads lead to heaven. And I'm like, you probably don't got a true Christian representative in that group, because they're going to tell you that, John 14:6, Jesus said, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me. That sounds good. That sounds nice. People want to hear that. And, but that was 20 some years ago probably. And they're obviously not still doing that, hopefully, but it sounds nice, but that's just not the truth. It's just, that's not what the Bible says. That's not. A lot of people want to say nice things that make people feel good and safe, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's true or right. So, yeah, I always kind of worry about that. I've asked Bridget about, what's it like at UNI? What are your teachers like? And she's straight up. She was like, yeah, this teacher's kind of cool. This teacher is definitely makes no bones about it. Like, they let you know they are very liberal, very against a Christian worldview, and you do your assignments and get your grade, and that's it. But if you ever get pushed into a corner, you have to decide. You're going to stand on your foundation, or you're going to cave. And it sounds like you don't have too much of a problem with that at Wartburg. So the other one that I was kind of thinking about is, like, I'm not even going to mention the place, but I had a job, and one of the representatives, I think he was like a paper representative or something, he was basically made it to the number 2 backup quarterback at Purdue. And he said, to play at that level, like, it owns you. He could only do it for a few years or 2 years, and he had to just let go of football because he didn't see himself getting the starting job. And he just said it's so much work being a football player. It was so hard for him to be a student. And just talking, like, with you and your mom at different times, that's not kind of the way Wartburg approaches it. Like, they make sure that your classes come first, and if you're a bad student, you're not even going to be a football player, kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you handle the schedule, of being a football player? The workouts, meetings, even diet, stuff like that, and being a college kid, who probably most college kids would struggle with that much structure. How do you fit into that and handle that?
Yeah, well, structure-wise, honestly, like, that's good for me. I actually really like structure.
Yeah,
and,
there you go.
And rules and stuff. So I'm not really, like, big into, like, being, like, super, like, free. And, like, structure has, like, been the biggest part of my life. Again, like I said, like, kind of live in a bubble. Like, didn't have to deal with, like, moving or anything like that.
Okay.
I like to be kind of, like, a nice set schedule and everything like that. It's not a tremendous time. It doesn't consume that much time. I am only on, like, JV and stuff, so I don't have to deal with, like, going, like, to away games on weekends and stuff like that. Varsity, they commit definitely a little bit more as far as, like, their meetings are longer and stuff like that. During season, basically this is how the schedule goes. Like, we have, like, football camp. That is a lot of, like, that's a lot of time. You have, like, several meetings a day, like, practices
over summer.
Yeah, so that's like beginning of August. So that's, like, first, like, few weeks. And then, like, once you get into the season, they're really big on, like, grades first. Our offensive coordinator does, like, a lot of stuff, like, make sure everyone's, like, on track for grades. They for freshmen and people that are on, like, have, like, failed a class before or something like that. You have to do, like, study tables.
Okay,
Twice a week, I believe. I can't remember. It's been a while. So they make sure you go and get your homework done. Also, being a business student too, it's not like the most like homework intensive major out there. Like, one of my buddies is, like, a mechanical engineer, and, like, he's just, like, showing me the homework he has to do, and it's, like, hours and hours, and I'm just like, oh man,
you picked the wrong major, guy.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
He's taking classes I can't even, like, pronounce the title of. It's like, I can't even.
Wow.
So homework wise, it's not, like, that bad. During season, we practice. Mondays are off day, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are like the practices, and then Friday is just, like, a walkthrough.
Okay.
They kind of do plays, and if it's a away game and you're on JV, you don't even have to go to that. And then Saturday game day, Sunday morning lift, and then they have, like, meetings and stuff, and then Monday off. So it's really not, like, a tremendous time involvement there. And then off season, I actually really like off season a lot. We just have morning liftings Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. That's not really too bad. So
yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, I got Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday off.
And you work too? I mean, you worked at
Yeah.
the lumberyard in high school a lot, I remember.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, it's I work on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays, just 3 days a week this year. Last year I worked 32 hours a week. That was a little bit too much, honestly.
with school?
With school, yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Ouch.
This year I'm only doing 27, working 3 like full shifts. Like 2 to 11 is what I do at the Walmart in town there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doing what, the loading of the groceries for people or what?
Stocking. So yeah, like unload truck, then like go put stuff out on shelves. And
Oh,
everything.
so not the people pushing the carts for the pickup people.
Oh no, that's
You're doing the step in front of that.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody just asked me at work. They go, "We don't see any stockers at Walmart anymore. We see people, Walmart employees, constantly pulling stuff off the shelves for the pickup people, but we don't see any stockers anymore." I'm like, "Well, there. Now I can go back to work Monday and say, nope, Kaden Behrens, he's a stalker. He unloads trucks, brings it out there. Okay,
Yes, sir.
got that. Yeah, Waverly Walmart. Not bad. Not bad. Pretty good store.
Yeah, pretty decent pay too compared to working on like campus. Like you like $10 an hour, which like now like these days is like
Yeah,
virtually
dude.
nothing.
Pay is weird now. It is really weird. Like you used to $10 an hour when I was in college. That was good money. Yeah. That was good money. I don't know. We'll get into inflation at some point, I'm sure. Maybe not on this episode. I know I've got other irons in the fire, but yeah, that's crazy that people make as much money as they make right now. So, all right, you got anything else that we missed in that kind of stuff? College, I mean, anything. You can go back, anything, before we get into your segments and all that stuff. If you got anything that we went over too quick and you said, "Oh yeah, I wanted to mention that," now would be the time.
I guess one more thing we can talk about college is some other things I'm involved in. I just started going to FCA. That's another thing. That's
Oh,
good about
yeah,
Ripley.
there you
They
go.
got, like decent programs like that. My freshman year, I also did like a men's Bible study that was affiliated with like the Salt Company. It's like that's in Cedar Falls. It's like with you and I.
yeah.
Wartburg.
Yeah, Pastor Ron told me about that. Okay.
Yeah, I did that last year. I'm not doing that this year though. It's just it's just not something I'm doing this year. But I'm also in a Baldwin Fellows Leadership Program, and so that's the thing. They take 2 boys and 2 girls out of the freshman class, are like going to be sophomores, and they have to get like nominated by I think like teachers or something like that, and then you do like a little interview process, and then they select you for that. And so how that works is your sophomore year is kind of like your onboarding, and then we're gonna go to the NCLS National Character and Leadership Summit at the Air Force base in Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs.
Sweet.
In February. So we're gonna go there like February 22nd, like 23rd, something like that, and we get to hear from like people on like the Space Force or like Olympian athletes and like CEOs of like billion-dollar companies and stuff, and like they get to talk about like leadership and stuff like that.
No kidding.
It's pretty sweet, yeah. So that's something I'm really excited about. And then your junior year, you start like thinking about a project you want to do for like, your senior year, like a service project, and then you help like the seniors with their projects. And then your senior year, you'll like present and like do your project and stuff. So one of the biggest ones they do every year is a Pack the Backpack event. And they bring in just pallets and pallets and pallets full of food, and they like pack them into like bags and boxes and stuff, and then ship them off to the food bank.
Okay.
And they do like tens of thousands of meals. It's crazy.
Wow.
It's a pretty big deal, yeah. So that's sweet. I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah, see where that takes me. I have to do a lot of thinking and praying about what I want my project to be, but whatever it is, I'm pretty excited about that.
Nice. Good stuff. Good things to be a part of. People say, yeah, college, it's just party time and you try and get out of there with a diploma. Well, Kaden Behrens just proved no. There's plenty of good things to do. There's plenty of good groups to be, maybe not plenty, but there are good groups to be a part of if you're going to school. It doesn't just have to be party time. It really doesn't. So being a football player, are you or any of the players, do you guys have, do you eat at school? Mm-hmm. You're on like the meal plan or whatever?
Yeah.
Being an athlete, do you have like a set diet that or guidelines you try and stick to, like some of the bigger Division I schools?
Yeah, it used to be you had to do we had to like fill out sheets and like use like nutrition apps to like look up what we're eating and then like calculate. We we did like this calculation with like our body mass index and like height and weight and like what we wanted to weigh. That would like spit out a number of how many like calories you need to eat a day.
Okay.
That's advanced into now it's just an app, and it kind of does that stuff for you. And then we take pictures of all of our meals, and then like we write in like everything we ate, and then there's like you look it up, and it tells you like how many like calories like on average like that kind of item will be, and you have to keep up with that. And like coaches will, like check your phone and stuff, and you kind of got to make sure that you're on top of that. Otherwise,
dude, nutrition. There's a reason guys your age and that like that the level of athleticism in all athletes, football, everything has just skyrocketed, and a big part of that's nutrition. That stuff wasn't that big of a deal back in the day. It was like just protein. That's it. Now it's crazy. So yeah, I can get that. I remember, you know who Robert Gallery is, don't you?
No, actually.
Probably not. Okay. He's from East Buchanan. He was a tight end in high school, went to University of Iowa, and when he got there, he was a tight end. And, you know, every good tight end should be able to block, and he was really good at blocking, and I can't remember if there was an injury or what, but they moved him to left tackle. And the first thing, so this is a rumor, but I'm assuming it's true, the first thing he said is, "Can I eat now?" Because, you know, tight ends are on a different meal plan than the linemen, and Robert Gallery ended up his senior year, he was, I can't remember what they call it, whatever the award is for the best offensive lineman, Outback Trophy maybe, I can't remember. Raiders took him number 1 in the draft.
Wow.
Left tackle. And within a year, he was moved to right tackle. He couldn't quite get it, but ended up playing just about his whole career and with the Raiders and everything, and right there from East Buchanan High School. So he was a monster. But yeah, that was one of the things I remember hearing is like, yeah, they watch what you eat, but when you get to be a lineman, it's like, yeah. And he got gigantic, and in high school he was just this. If anybody my age remembers Robert Gallery, yeah, he was tall, skinny, he was athletic, he was a good high jumper, and then he ends up turning into this 350-pound just mammoth of a man. So, yeah, I wouldn't have done very well with a meal plan in college. I was on the Hawkeye Community College diet, I guess. So
that's the thing. It's almost harder to gain weight than it is to cut weight. Like when you're at like a healthy like state, because it's just hard to eat that much.
Yeah, I'm sure. I've never tried because I can put on weight, but yeah, I could imagine it is easier to lose weight than to gain weight if you've got that high metabolism and your body wants to be at a natural weight. Me and Peterson used to always talk about this. Like our bodies, if we're under 200, our bodies want to be at 200. It doesn't matter what we're eating. We will put on weight till we hit 200, and then it'll slow down drastically. You know, it's like, yeah. So... all right, so that's a good place to stop for part 1 with Kaden Behrens. We're closing in on an hour, and I'm going to turn over a new leaf here, and I'm gonna do some shorter episodes. So if you liked what you heard today, or if you got some young people in your life, or you got somebody maybe heading off to college, or maybe you know somebody who's younger who has a Christian worldview, but how do they handle that in high school, or how are they going to handle that in college, and you think Kaden's episode might be encouraging to them, then share this podcast. Check us out on Facebook, on Instagram, where you can listen to us, obviously, wherever you're listening, Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, all that good stuff. Check us out, follow us, rate us 5 stars, leave some comments. Guys, I've only gotten like 2 emails from actual human beings, okay? I need more emails. Send me some emails. You got a question for Kaden. You got a question for past guests. You got a question for me. You got a topic you want me to cover. Send it to whatisuppodcast@gmail.com, and I will read it on the air, and I will give you credit. How about that? So, in the next episode with Kaden, we're going to get into his segments. We got some fun stuff lined up, some good deep thinking stuff. And when we get into his What Is Up topics, you do not want to miss that kind of stuff. But let me tell you, the segments are going to be fun. We got at least one new one. We're going to put Gen Z against Gen X and Millennials. We're going to see just how that all works. So be sure to tune in on the next episode, and Kaden will show you what is up.